Good morning, or should I say good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. I am Just Meek on deck, and today we need to talk about this pivotal time in history that we are facing. Right now, in the media, we are listening to things about this debt crisis, this inflation that we are dealing with, and the battle between the White House and the Speaker, with this debt ceiling. They want to raise the national debt limit again, but the White House wants it contingency free. They want an open check. Congress wants stipulations. It's just like if you had a wife or a husband whose spending was out of control and the credit cards is racking up debt and they just want to continue to spend and spend and spend, and you have no more money coming in. You already swimming in debt and you can barely pay the bills and the interest that is accruing on those credit cards. But anyway, throughout the century, throughout the years, we have been facing these manufactured money crisis. And right now I'm reading Guardians of the Holy Grail. Well, Guardians of the Grail by J.R. Church. And I'm on the section where he starts to recount history with money and wars. And I just wanted to share a little excerpt with you. Now, he went back and he recounted the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and it's funny because on this topic, and it also deals with the central bank and how each time when these manufactured crises happen, like the Depression and things of that nature, how money was withheld, a central bank always came about and a war always followed. So now we're on the section where he's talking about the European banking houses. So I will pick up right there. It says the European banking houses were left out in the cold. Real money, gold and silver, provided a potential prosperity for the United States. This obviously would keep the United States from the control of the international bankers. 2 years later, in 1861, the Civil War began. Abraham Lincoln refused to borrow money from the European bankers with which to fight the war. Instead, he printed the first United States greenbacks, the infamous $2 bill we used to finance the war. In the years which followed, there was a continual struggle in America's economy. The economy sagged in the mid-1870s. There was a depression in 1884 and a panic in 1893, and there was another panic in 1907. Each seemed to be an effort by the international bankers to cripple our economy in hopes of convincing Congress to allow the central bank. During those years, however, Congress refused, and though we refused economic recession, we suffered an economic recession. That period witnessed America's greatest financial growth. The industrial age flourished. Free enterprise had its heyday. In 1876, the telephone was invented, and from it came our modern means of communication. From those days came the automobile and the airplane. On March 4th, 1912, Woodrow Wilson was inaugurated as the 28th President of the United States. Just a side note, we've been dealing with establishment politicians. Well, Woodrow Wilson is one of them. And what was hanging over Woodrow Wilson's head? When he was at the university, he had had an affair, and they knew about that, and they were blackmailing him. And one of the appointments that they told him the maid was Brandeis to be put to the Supreme Court. He had no choice because he didn't want that scandal to come out. That was being held over their head. And there's a lot of politicians today that had been caught up in this Epstein, pedophilia, disaster, been on that Lolita Express several times like Bill Clinton. And these are the establishment politicians. They are not for the people. Okay, back to Woodrow Wilson. Immediately he set out about to establish a central bank. He had campaigned on a platform that he would never allow a central bank. He said that he would lead the fight against those wolves of Wall Street. But alas, he turned out to be one of those wolves in sheep's clothing. The bill was introduced on June 23rd of that year. It was hotly debated for 6 months, but finally it was passed in December of 1913. The creature of Jekyll Island was given birth. While most of the senators and representatives were out of town for the Christmas holidays, thus establishing the Federal Reserve System. Shortly before noon on June 28, 1914, crowds gathered in the capital of the Austrian province of Bosnia. They came to see the Archduke Francis Ferdinand of the House of Habsburg. Interesting note, the House of Habsburg is part of this holy bloodline, the Merovingian bloodline. But I'll save that for another day. His wife, Sophie, suddenly a man jumped out on the running board of the royal touring car and fired a pistol. Two shots struck Ferdinand and Sophie. She was trying to shield him. They both died immediately. As a result, war was declared on July 28th. On July 30th, Russia ordered general mobilization. On August 1st, Germany declared war on Russia. On August 3rd, Germany declared war on France. On August 4th, Germany invaded Belgium. And on the story goes. It appears to have been another money war. Then came 1929 and the depression that rocked America. Our economy devastated. Listen up. Millionaires became paupers. Millions of others lost their life savings. Many committed suicide because they just couldn't deal with sudden poverty. The fateful day came on October 18th, 1929. President Hoover was blamed for the depression and as a result lost the election in 1932. But who and what was really responsible? A new president came to power at that time. Another one of their agents, Franklin D. Roosevelt. On March 6, 1933, following his inauguration, Roosevelt called for a bank holiday. Americans were told that all banks were closed in an effort to help stop the money panic that was spreading in the nation. Does this sound familiar? Runs on the bank. Small banks being intentionally targeted to where people will flood in to the big banks and destroy the little banks. We need to stay with our little banks. Okay, it says Americans were told that all banks were closed in an effort to help stop the money panic that was spreading in the nation. Depositors had been withdrawing their funds at such speed that many banks ran out of money to pay over the counter. But was this the whole truth? In the early 1930s, America did not lack industrial capacity, fertile farmland, skilled and willing workers, or industrious farm families. Communications between regions and localities were the best in the world, utilizing telephone, teletype radio, and well-operated government mail systems. No war had ravaged the cities or the countryside. No pestilences weakened the population, nor had famine stalked the land. The United States of America lacked only one thing: an adequate supply of money to carry on trade and commerce. The banking community, the only source of new money and credit, deliberately refused loans to industries, stores, and farms. Payments on existing loans were required, however, and money rapidly disappeared from circulation. Goods were available to be purchased, jobs waited to be done, but the lack of money brought the nation to a standstill. By this simple ploy, America was thrust into a depression, and greedy bankers took possession of hundreds of thousands of farms, homes, and business properties. The people were told, times are hard and money is short. Not understanding the system, they were cruelly robbed of their earnings, their savings, and their property. And look at us today. We have Janet Yellen, the Federal Reserve System, raising, the interest rate, saying that they are helping when they are actually doing the opposite and helping destroy our economy and push us into a recession, which is soon to turn into a depression. Many people are already being laid off and losing their jobs. Families are deciding what things that they can do without in order to make it to the next payday to feed their families. My people, please wake up and recognize what is going on. We are in these last days. There is only one more prophecy to be fulfilled. This one world government, this one world money system where they control every aspect of our lives. They want us all to be on this electrical grid to where no man can buy or sell unless he have that mark. Soon this thing will turn into something spiritual. It will be between God and that man of sin which will step on this earth claiming to be the one to cure all our ills. And those who are who do not have the knowledge will worship this man. Those that have the mark will worship this man. But those that are of the children of God will not worship this man, because we will know that he is the Antichrist. For now is our salvation nearer from when we first believed. It is high time, my friends, to awake out of sleep. And that is how I'm going to end it, and I will see you on